Hello. Okay, this is a bonus live and very impromptu. I'm actually kind of using to motivate me. Because if you say to somebody, "Oh, I'm going to do such and such a thing today," you kind of have to do it. Whereas if you say it to yourself, you can slide out of it a bit easier. And that's what I did yesterday. I wanted to paint yesterday. And I kind of slid out of it because I had one of these days where just this kind of haze of laziness settled me. And what it was yesterday was I just left it too late. If I leave it too late in the day to paint, um, I risk no painting happening. Let's get ready to paint. Um, so this is a painting session and just general me rambling on about what I've been up to. If you're wondering what that little thing is, I'll tell you as well. It has to do with the thumbnail. I thought you'd like to know the scale of the stuff I was showing you in the thumbnail because it's the little fairy house I was making. Remember, I started making it around the time I did that live stream where I was toasting the marshmallows and rolling them in chocolate in the garden. Remember, I had a little fire going and doing that in the campaign tent. And I showed you a little fairy house I started making. So the thumbnail today is of that fairy house in situ on the top of the anthill. And I made this is all I did yesterday. I was supposed to be painting and I ended up doing some of this instead. I did gardening things as well, but didn't do any painting, which was the original plan. This is a little picnic basket for them, for the ants. And ants like jam. So this is a little tiny, it won't even focus on it. Look, a little tiny thing of jam that I made. I might make them a little jar of honey as well. And during the week, I think, sorry, I'm just bashing the tripod there. During the week, I think I'll make a little short video of me drawing that scene as well. Because although I said I wanted to move away from drawing small things and move back to doing landscape, a panoramic landscape, and work looser and bigger and everything. I'm still feeling the draw of the tiny. So I want to draw the tiny, and I'm going to draw that fairy house during the week, I think. And I'll make a little, I don't think it's worth a long video, but I'll make a little short video of what it looks like. So there's at the fairy house, now that thing underneath, I'm going to make a little picnic blanket. I have made a picnic table for them. And I also yesterday made a little ladder for them because I noticed that the ants yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, they were taking a route to look at their new house. And they had this route under the ivy, but they were crawling up the ivy as well. They crawl up and down the ivy. So I put a little ladder beside the house. I also made a little broom, which you might see in the thumbnail picture, beside the picnic table, which this is going to go on. And they'll have a little. I'll cover that in something waterproofy and stick that to it, and then stick that onto the picnic table. And I probably have a couple of log seats either side of the picnic table, but they've got a sweeping broom for cleaning up outside the house as well. And they have a little stone druid circle down the other end of a little road that I made them, which is their little highway from the crack in the ground where their main nest appears to be under the door, which is under the door frame of my house. That's why they were trying to invade the house the other day. But they come out the hole there and they go up and down under the ivy, under this kind of path that they have. So I got I found tiny gravel somewhere and made a little tiny gravel path there. So it's becoming a right little tableau. I've added more moss on either side of the little, it's going to be a boreen, which is a little road. So they're going to have a picnic area down at the stone circle. They've got there's going to be a lake if I find the thing that I need for the lake. I used to make, haven't done it for a little while now, but resin jewelry. And one of the things I made was clear resin, and it had leaves and things embedded in it. And I actually saved it because I realized it would look good in a terrarium or something as a lake. But I can't find it. I don't know where I put it. But when I find it, I'm going to make a lake beside the house. So that's, it is an arty thing, but it's not painting. So I was determined to do painting today because um, you lose your touch and you lose any progress that you've made. Let's get the paints out, shall we? Ooh, what a delightful mess. And it's so dark today, but not too dark to paint. I'm in I'm going to have um, canvas laid out flat on the table because the lighting is so poor that even for me painting, it's very poor lighting in here for painting. I have lots of daylight lamps around the place. I never really found anything satisfactory except when I put the canvas up on the easel on front of the door, which is the door out into the other rooms and into the bathroom and all that. So it's not very convenient. Every time you go to the loo, you have to remove everything first. So in a way, the table is handy to paint on, but it's weird painting on a canvas that's flat in front of you. It's not 100% natural. But I'm too lazy to set everything up in the kitchen. I do that sometimes for live streams, but it takes a lot of moving stuff around because all my stuff is not always in a little box like this. I have the paintings in the oil paints in the box, but it involves bringing tables and everything, which I don't want to do all that because some days you just aren't that motivated. And it's the weather today, really. It's hibernation weather in the middle of summer. I hate this weather. I am a summer creature and I'm a sunny creature and I like the sunshine and heat. And it's not warm enough for me today. And it's not cold, but it's not summer weather and it's dark. It's not bright enough for me. So it's annoying, but what the heck? I'll take my mind off of painting. And you might be wondering what this is. This isn't anything to do with the tiny world. This is some saved oil paint, right? And I was talking about neutral colours. Um, I was talking about neutral colours the other day, and I've saved what was on my palette the last time because if you scrape up everything with the palette knife, scrape it all up off your palette, um, and save it. You gonna when you mix it up, it mixes into kind of a neutral color, and that color. And I have tried this tip out, and it does work. That color, if you use it to mix a tiny little bit in with every time you're mixing a paint. Say I was mixing up a bright green there. I'm using a limited palette on this, okay? And a limited palette is you're using your I was talking about this in the last live stream if you're feeling lost. So, but I'll briefly go over it again. A limited palette is basically you're restricting yourself to using your what you call your primary colors, 3 colors. And you're mixing everything. You're trying to mix up all your colors from that. In practice, you can't really, okay? But you can't match colors perfectly with that, and you'll find there are other colors you use. So some people add earth tones to things, and black often gets used in this palette because it's really hard to make it black. Some of the purples can be hard to make depending on the type of blue and the type of yellow you use. So I used to experiment a bit with that, getting a bit more comfortable with that now. At first, some of the ideas even though I've used colour for years and years, some of the ideas around a limited palette were very difficult for me. But this idea about adding a neutral tone, which is a tone mixed from all your colours, in with whatever colours you're mixing from your primary colours that you've chosen, yellow, blue, and red. And you're using a black as well, but they don't really think of black as a colour. And white, they're not really counted as primary colours as such. Um, if you use that neutral colour in to sort of knock down colours a bit, if the colours are not quite right, you get a more harmonious painting, is the thinking behind it, because that neutral color is a unification color that introduces all of the three colors in together. Now, most colors do have a mixture of those three colors, but I think that chemically, whatever way they make paints, they don't always produce them by that kind of mixing. I'm not very well up on it, but that is why I think they use the neutral color idea. So when I'm working from today, it's the same materials I was doing on the Friday live stream. And apologies during this if I don't see anybody in chat. I'll say hello to chat now, because I'll be just sort of concentrating what I'm doing for the next hour or so. I might see I'm always missing people, but I think the best thing is for me to just say, "Oh, hi, chat," and not try and talk to everybody individually in chat, uh, because it's insulting then if I don't see somebody and I see somebody else. So this is what I'm working from, and I have a video reference because I had a video, I think it's called A Finer Day or something like that. And my live stream, my last live stream is called that as well. But I'm working from that video as reference material because I was out the whole day and I shot a lot of video, and some of the footage is very useful. And then I have a photo I'm working from as well. So I'm okay for reference materials. The videos aren't great for this part of the painting that I'll show you now. Actually, the photos aren't great either. First, videos are better. This part of the painting, with all the mountains in, I'm glad I have this reference piece to work from, because the videos and the photo don't have the detail color-wise and structure-wise that this piece does. But this piece, generally, I wasn't happy with it, and I wanted to have a different layout and leave out a lot of the stuff that was happening down the bottom. So this is only the second session on this, and I'd love to have some music going, but I can't have anything copyright free, which is nice. Nice music. I don't mean it's nice that I can't have it. I mean, can't have any nice music. Well, I suppose I could on my. I have another computer in the background which you can't hear. So I'll do that because this is a me indulging myself with live stream. So I'm gonna start up the other computer, which I really only use as kind of a record player, and have some nice music in the background, which you won't be able to hear, but because I don't want to paint with headphones on or anything like that with wires. Um, Sorry about all this. It just would take me a minute to start up that computer. It's an old Power Mac, which became defunct several years after I got it, and still works okay, but it won't run any internet browsers or anything on it, so it's useless except as a record player. Doesn't even play films okay anymore. So I threw out all my films that I have on CD because it just um, skips all the CDs. So I want more green to happen, and I'm going to put out my primer yellow. No, I won't bother yet. So what I'll do is I'll try to get it. I want to work on this bit here. Um, trying to get it so that I was looking at this, right? Sometimes sitting around looking at a painting or just seeing it out of the corner of your eye helps fix things. This was still too central, this bit, I felt. So I started kind of working into it with my finger, just very vaguely, and decided that this humpiness here, that I need to kind of bring it more over this way. So I dirtied it down. So I'm going to put a little bit more green on that now. And things down here are going to change. Still at an early stage. I liked that bit of kind of quick painting that I did. And I really like this stuff here that I mixed in with the paint. That was part of my gift that somebody gave me. Drying medium. I had to look up what that was online because it's in, I think it's Dutch. I think it might be Dutch, but I love the little bottle it's in and everything because that's great for bringing it out into the field. Right, let me get some. Okay, sorry about that, but I have this feeling nobody's out of bed yet anyway. Or, some people are just going to bed, some people are just waking up, but I'm doing this at an unusual time of day, and it's a Sunday. So I don't mind walking off on you for a minute so much. But oh, geez, if anybody was there. Um. So hopefully none of that would hear that. It's eerily silent if I don't have it, and music can be great for motivating you as well to work. Sorry, I'm looking for the right brush. Always important for starting. Get the old filbert out again. So yeah, I just needed that extra boost, you know. That's the thing, isn't it? Our bodies, we're not machines, so we get these kind of tired days, and uh, I'm not really tired. I have what they call ennui. I'm suffering from ennui, and which is a kind of um a boredom that's a kind of a luxurious boredom. It seems very attractive to not do anything, but I think it's more attractive if I do a bit of painting, which I wasn't looking forward to, but I know when I start, I'll start enjoying. But if I do a bit of painting and then after I do the bit of painting, then I'll do all the relaxation things. I really want to do some reading of my book. I'm reading a sci-fi at the moment. I want some liquid as well. So I'm using some of my quick drying medium and a little bit of liquid, which is a varnish, which you can use as a medium in the paint as well. I'm moving away slightly from using as much terps to thin down my paint as I used to. I see a lot of people not using terps at all. And I find that very attractive just from the point of view of cutting out a lot of fumes. Now I have terps open there. And really, well, I could try not having it open, but I think, well, I'll try not having it open because that does make me very tired as well. I don't like opening windows or anything unless it's really, really hot. So that can be a drag. But I use it as a slight thinning medium. So when you're whipping around your brush and you're releasing more fumes, and I just don't bother with the fume-free mediums because they're so expensive. I suppose if you weren't using very much of them, they wouldn't be. Then you'd use white spirits to clean your brushes and all that. But Sansador, I think, is the brand name of ones. So the yellow that I have is a primary yellow in oils, right? I'm working in oils. The blue I have, what blue am I using for my main blue? See, even this chatting away to you is helping motivate me because I'm having to stay on track to a certain extent. Halo blue, right? So I'm terribly sorry about this, but like you're not forced to watch, so don't feel too bad. So that yellow already has a bit of the blue in it, okay? So good. And I just want to change that curve. I don't know that I necessarily want to match the painting, but I think I'm gonna. Oh, I think I'll lower that. I do not want to get that getting picked up because my live stream could just go down and you get a copyright. You don't usually get a strike as such. Um, But you never know. You can't be too careful on YouTube. Okay, so I want to get that up higher, but that actually does have a dark bit in front of it. So I want to keep the lumpy bumpy. I have a very smooth look going at the moment for this, and that sorry, I'm and on a lot today. This is part of the ennui, you see. I can't help it. It's the ennui disease. There's a fabulous book. Actually, I was talking about books. See, this is a Sunday chat, so it can be very, very random. There's a fabulous book which I am definitely going to buy again. Oh, yes. Uh, how can I see? I don't mind paying for art materials, but anything else, I get the guilt about buying on myself. I've no big occasions coming up to reward. Oh, I have a big occasion coming up. Yes, that's right. The occasion coming up that I can reward myself for by buying this book I'm going to talk about is a year off cigarettes. I'll be a year off cigarettes in August. So I'm going to try and make it 2 years. I am recommitting because I like it. Yeah, I could talk about that a little bit as well for anybody who's trying to give up. Do try and do keep trying. Please keep trying. You know what's really helpful actually? A hot tip. It's usually not far away from me either. So this is a great tip. Some regular viewers. I don't know how. I don't know that I have any regular viewers. My viewership goes up and down so much that regular viewers maybe two or three. Um, Optimistically. Here's the tip though. If you're not a regular viewer, this is a fake cigarette. And that's actually an inner tube out of my favorite Japanese pen. And when I'd started doing this trick, I did it with straws, the drinking straws. When I was trying to give up, part of the habit of cigarettes is holding the cigarette because if you smoke a lot, you're holding a cigarette a lot of the time, aren't you? And also breathing in. This sounds mad, but like you're breathing in very hard to breathe in the smoke, aren't you? So when you stop, you tend to ever so often find yourself going like that with this sudden weird breath. And it's because you're not breathing deeply enough, I reckon, because you're used to taking um, huge drags of a cigarette where you're dragging something right down to the bottom of your lungs. And although you're not taking in a nice breath of fresh air, it's still breathing deeply. So you when you stop, you then suddenly get out of the habit of this deep breathing. So the straw is great because you take drags through the straw and everything, and part of your mind is food. Say, no, we're having a cigarette, and so part of your mind gets that. And a year later, I still do it, and yeah, I've even done it on camera. I've actually been on, painting things, and I have this in my hand, and people would be looking at me going, "I wonder is that a pen or what has she got, a crayon or something?" No, it's my fake cigarette. Um, because I said to myself, that's not part of the habit. Now there's a lot of stuff going on there, which see, there's a lot of this kind of lumpy bumpiness and little rocks and things like that. Um, the little rocks, I don't know if I want to have them in the raw because they're tiny. But I do want some lumpy bumpiness in it, so that's quite a challenge painting lumpy bumpiness. So Um, I don't know when to start doing that. I don't want to get caught up in a detail too soon. Let me have a look at what's happening in this part of the painting. I never took the book is Houseman is the guy's name, and it's something like A H Houseman or A R Houseman or something like that. It's just initials in front of Houseman, but it's called Arabur, um, which I think is uh, Rubur. I don't even know what Rubur means, but I actually forget the name in English, but it's well, I look it up. There might have been more. Huysmans, Huysmans, and yeah, Aaron Brewer, an 1884 novel by uh, Joris Karl Huysmans. And if you look that up on Wikipedia, I'm on the phone here, so I can't give you a link to it. Um, forget what I don't tell you on Wikipedia. Um, it centers around a single character who's an eccentric, a reclusive, and a hermit, right? But he suffers from ennui. That's why I mentioned him. And he has all these hobbies. And really, that film, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, it actually has the same kind of thing. It's about a guy who has loads of hobbies because he suffers from boredom. And okay, so this, I want to get more blue in it. Now, I'm going to do this thing here because we're going to so I'm going to get some of the neutral out to reuse on my palette. There's the neutral color. And I want to dirty down this color first and get slightly more blue in it. So I'm going into my tail. Now I don't have white out, so I want to get white out because as well as putting the neutral in, I may want to go lighter with the color. I'm going to deal with this ridge here and just make that a bit more subtle. Uh, and you might not see very much painting done today because when a person is in an ennui mood, they can get very caught up in detail. And what the character in the novel did, and I think Weissman might have been very weird himself. Not quite sure about this, but if you even think this up, you probably have to be weird. He did all sorts of things to combat this boredom, including things like encrusting a tortoise or something you had with jewels and watching it crawl around with all these jewels on its back and everything. He was also very rich. But it's nice to have the luxury of that kind of boredom. So I never mind that kind of boredom. Not that I have tortoises crawling around, but I do have house I built for ants, don't I? Which is kind of the same vibe. You see, it does all make sense. To me, it makes sense. Okay, I think I like that color. So I'm being very kind of slow and careful today. Oh, I'm actually putting on nearly exactly the same color. Yeah, it might have more brown in it actually and darker. So a little bit more neutral. And to make a brown, I'm not using very much in the way of earth colors. But I was using a bit of ochre in this, but To make a brown at the moment, I think I can do it with just the red. But earth colors don't come up very satisfactorily in those primary colors. You kind of have to go through several stages of mixing to get them, because you'd have to get an orange first with your yellow and red, then um, start mixing in your black or whatever you're going to get. And to get it quickly and exactly is quite tricky. So you see, I could get the ochre out now, or a sienna. And actually, I was sitting around looking at this color in relation to what I painted the other day and liking it. But the sky isn't actually that color, and it isn't the feeling that I want in the painting. So it's gonna go, and that might be a good bit to work on next, actually. But because it's going to throw all the other colors out if I don't work on that next. But it was nice to look at it. But some of the thing I liked about it was the lack of texture in it compared to the other stuff. Was kind of interesting, but interesting in a jarring way. It wasn't kind of natural. So let me get a tiny little bit of ochre out, and I'm going to get a little bit finicky because I'm going to get my rigger brush out for some. So this is I don't think these are artist quality, but they're very good. Winsor Newton Winton dry. I always get a lot of build up around the um, necks of them, and at the moment the black I'm working with has no cap because although I have spare caps lying around the place, I can't get the cap back off it. Can't scrape back enough to get the cap back off. Okay, so we're not needing very much of that. And after all the stuff that I've been doing with watercolors and drawing and inks and things, I'm finding the switch back to oil paint extremely messy. And even the mixed media thing that I did recently, I found it unpleasantly messy. So it takes a bit of getting used to again, and not mind. And some people could do this and keep everything very clean and have their hands perfect and everything. But I get everything just destroyed. Even this top I have on is it's an old. So yeah, so I don't know. It's just a whim. I have to read that book again. I might order it, I might not. Don't know. Don't want to go too warm with my colors yet. Don't want to over. And there are all sorts of little things I don't want to too bogged down in too early, but they're kind of important. Like this line here of warmth. Behind that, there's a deep green, and then there's some of the pale green happening as well. So, I could end up getting tiny little riggers involved, like that size, loads of them, and end up using tiny little brushes for the whole thing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. No, don't want to end up doing it. So it's kind of a slight struggle against that. So you see how this green here, hopefully my color is reading okay. This green here has that neutral grey in it. So it really has knocked out quite a lot of that vibrancy of this original mix of the green. So, if I want to go back into that area, I am going to get my other rigger out. Oh, I'm a dean, aren't I, for this? No, I'm going to get this one out. Look, we're going to try something different. I'm going to try a different brush. And I'm going to go back to the original green mix, which really had a lot of that yellow. And oops, my hair tied back in. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to paint in some of the lumpy, bumpy knobs of uh, grass, there were all these bumps all over the grass. Trying to paint them in without getting lost in detail. And I don't want to get lost in pattern either, making the same marks over and over again. So with a brush like this, you have to be a little bit careful, because if you just go like that, it makes exactly the same line, which sometimes might be nice if you're doing leaves on a tree or something. It might be nice for using on that tree, I don't know. But this is part of the point of using different brushes. The other reason to use different brushes is I'm going to be cleaning off the same brush all the time, do you? And I should have a few of those riggers around the place, but where? I have all my brushes mixed up, you see, because I have been using acrylics as well, and inks and things like that, and watercolor. And some of the ones I use for oil are mixed up with some of the other. Yeah, I have another rigger here. It's in bits. Let me try it and see if I can revive it. I want to do a bit of darker green, so back in the same yellow. Now that's a very viridian-y kind of a green, isn't it? So I want to, there's one way to warm it up. That would be to put an ochre in. But I am going to do this thing with the neutral, the trick with the neutral, to knock back the color a little bit. Now it's brought it up a little bit. You can bring it back down with black if you want. I don't think I need to, but I am going to throw a little bit of red into it to make it a bit more browny, and a little bit of this ochre as well to bring it into the right nearer color range for me that I want. So this is the sun is way back here, shining towards us. So the front of each little bit of grass is in shadow. So the shadow is that duller kind of a green with some brown aspects to it. And in a way, if I paint this too slowly, it'll look worse. So this is why I'm trying to be a little bit fluid about my paint. I don't want to get stuck, but there's a little bit more texture happening in that bit now, not just texture, but difference of form as well. So I'm working back into it. So these kind of crossing areas like this in a landscape can be difficult when you've got open areas like this, I think, because sometimes you just miss the thing, and then you know, in relation to another bit that you do, you go, no, that bit's totally wrong now, and you have to go back and modify that bit again. But at the same time, I want to do a little bit of work on this bit before I move on. Now, I want to also do the tree, but I want to do the sky as well. But there are more textury things happening now and colored things. So it's a toss up, isn't it? It's a balance of painting tones and form and color. So you're balancing those three things, as well as trying to keep your composition going. Some of that bluer, paler green going up through the grass. And you can see, I think you should be able to see, that's already getting modified. So this is the difference, I think, between trying to make a painting really live in a very specific way, okay, and just trying to get it to look like a little track. This is like a track of a tractor or something. Trying to get it to look like a track through a landscape and getting to the stage where you go, oh, that looks like it, that'll do. I want to go further than that with it if I possibly can. I don't know if I can. Sometimes we don't get any further. Like I was so unhappy with the gouache version of my sketch pad that I did of this. So I'm hoping I can do better. And some of the doing better, I'm trying to get through colour. Okay, so I'm not going to mess around in there too much. I'm going to go to the sky. I have a few colours down that I feel at the moment are correct. But you see, when you go around the painting, they can become less right if when after you work on other bits because you've modified other bits and everything changes when you do that. So I'm going to work on the sky for a while. So already you can see we've had two of the same size rigger out. They're really nice brush that. These are Rosemary & Co. brushes, and these are size 2 riggers. These are all Rosemary & Co. That one is, this is a new type of brush I bought just to try out from Rosemary & Co. on the last order that I did. It is an ivory angular. And angular brushes are supposed to be very handy for doing, say, buildings or something like that, corners of things, edges of things, grasses, things like that. So I thought I'm not like very um familiar with that brush yet, but I'm getting to know it. So I have this other trick now, and that is this dehumidifying, ugly dehumidifying box left over from, I have I put those in my bathroom, but I looked at the box and went, that probably hold brushes okay. So while I'm working with the thing, I keep the brushes in there and I can reach for them handy enough. So it looks terrible, but it offends me. I am like Heisman. I can't look at anything ugly. That's true though. And unfortunately, some of you probably have great taste as well because you can't look at boring live streams. This is going to be a boring one. I'm not even trying to be entertaining. But then again, see, might be all still in bed, sensibly in bed. But this is the perfect time of day for me to do things. That's why I have my live streams um, at 2 p.m. usually because sorry, I'm looking for another brush. I was tempted to use that one, but for the sky, but I don't think I will because it's that little bit too soft. I don't like it that soft. I have a beautiful brush that's it's called a brush style called an Egbert, and I love it. I love it, but I'm forever losing the darn thing. So I love doing skies with it. It just this brush, if I can find it, I'll be so annoyed if I can't find it. It's here somewhere. Look, it makes me so happy when we're doing skies. I have a filbert there that will do if I can't find the Egbert. That's a nice size for doing that sky. So getting your brush the right size for the job you're about to do is important as well. Um, because what happens, still looking for that brush. What happens is if you don't use the right brush for the job, you can end up with a kind of marks that are oh, I think I found it. Did I? No, it's a long filbert. There's my there it is. There. No, that's a long filbert. I might use a long filbert. I cannot find my Egbert, folks. But there's a long filbert, right? And this is actually a little bit small for the job. That one's a bigger one, is it? No, no. Um, I use that one actually. If you use the wrong brush for the job, you end up with marks that are inappropriate to what you're trying to get at. So you have to, this is where experience comes in painting, where it can come in. Um, Knowing what brushes, getting to know brushes and everything, and what does what. So say I attack that with that sky with that brush, you're going to end up with a series of small stabby marks no matter what you do. Okay, and if I were to attack the sky with, see this brush here, really soft brush, if I attack the sky with that, it's great in terms of the size, but it's going to be a very wash. You're going to have putting on thin paint, unless, if you put on thin paint, you can do a scumbly dragging effect with that type of brush. It works, um, but this is why I spend ages looking for a different brush. So on my original reference photo, the sky looks very pink. Well, I don't think it actually was that pink on the day. It did have a slight bit of pinkness in it, not a whole lot. Uh, that neutral grey is going to come into things. Wow, 54 minutes already, an hour. Just yapping. I'm not going to go longer than an hour because this was you were there to motivate me. I was using you, remember? But we'll start the sky before I go. And thank you for allowing me to use you because I can go on painting now quite happily now that I've started. I have nice music and want to turn the volume up on. I think that's a good colour there. Might be a bit too blue. We'll knock it back a bit. You see, this neutral is also great because that was leftover colour from the last day, right? So this is the most cost-effective way of oil painting you've ever seen, and it was such a fabulous tip. So grateful to whoever gave me that tip. And I know I was just rambling on today, but if you're a painter, you might pick up a few tips from this. You always pick up tips from other painters, and I mean, what else would you be doing on a Sunday but watching a live stream if you're in that dreadful state of ennui? You're either, well, it's delicious state of ennui as well, but there's guilt, you say. Guilt isn't always enjoyable. Sometimes you have to get up and do something just to get rid of the guilt. Guilt is a good feeling. Gets you doing things. Because we humans, we don't like changing activities. That's what it's about. When you have to get up and change an activity to doing something else, um, there is a little gap in there in between times when you go, oh, I should be doing this. Oh, I can't. How am I going to get started? No, not a room there. But once you're up and started, you're fine, you see. And then I find if I don't do big, huge, long painting sessions, I'd never develop a dread of starting painting because I always have it in my mind. Yeah, you only have to paint for 10 minutes. Like, you're only committing to 10 minutes. That's more the colour I want. It was a very sunny day, so some bits of the sky will be bluer. And then we might get some pink. We might leave some of the pinkness we had involved as well. And then move a bit back there by rolling the brush. There is a bit of more blueness on the brush already, so I'll just roll it into it. And leave some of the background pink that was there in. But I will also, I'm going to have a lot of brushes to clean today. I don't mind. I never get too lazy about that. Funny enough. Doesn't take a minute. I've never done a demo of that on my channel. I'll do that sometime. I just want to get a slightly more pinky variation on this tone and bring it up brighter with that edge. So some of the transitions in these paintings are, you want them to be fairly subtle, and the challenge when you're doing that is to not lose a nice freshness and spontaneity. So it's like a kind of gradation and tone up there. I don't want this to be a painting that I'm doing for weeks and weeks. I have it in my mind that I want it to be a quick painting, and that is because I'm working on spontaneity a little bit at the moment and loosening up. And this is not a particularly loose painting so far. There's nothing gestural happening in it or anything, but I don't want to do that just for the sake of doing that either. I want that to emerge, any looseness or anything to emerge directly out of the painting of the thing. I'm not doing very much over on the other side. I won't move over to the other side of the camera because I don't want to have to move the palette. But I'm just indicating some of that grey blue tone. Because even though it's a very nice day, you don't necessarily get a blue sky. These are the kind of generalizations I don't want to be going with, that on every nice day there's a blue sky. It doesn't work like that. That's what's so fun and fascinating about landscape. So I'm just at an hour. So it's really just self-indulgent to go on longer than an hour. And I know People don't want to watch live streams really longer than an hour. Not mine, anyway. Not of somebody painting. Really watching painting session, probably an hour is enough for the type of viewer that's watching this. And for anybody who does watch, thank you very much for watching. I hope it's useful to you. So what I'm going to work on next today, right? This is the plan for today's session, is to get a little bit more of that vibrant green going on over here. So this brush will come out again over this way. See how much it changes it when you start getting more vibrant stuff going. And I'm using the edge of the brush for that as well. And I'm going to work also on the tree in the middle, putting some of the leaves in and all that kind of thing. Then I'll probably start working back again into the path and start a little bit of work on the mountains. So I'm trying to get that whole painting to all keep growing all at the same time. So I'm going to keep moving around the canvas. This is why I don't mind getting so many brushes involved, because all of the brushes I have, they're loaded with the different colors that I need, so that I can keep working around the canvas and keep trying to get the whole painting growing together so that it's a harmonious painting. That there isn't wasted work in one area where you can very easily fall into the trap where you're enjoying working on that area and it's successful, going a bit more successfully for you than another difficult area, so you get stuck in that area. And it's a mental cul-de-sac, because you get stuck in that area and then you try and adjust the whole painting to suit that area, whereas actually you maybe should be approaching it like nature itself and trying to grow the whole painting all together, for more, like, this is my thinking on it. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to work, but even since the beginning of the session I can see improvements. I do like some of the little texture things I did there. I don't know whether that'll focus nicely, but there are some more subtle things. But if I had stayed in that area, I would have started getting too finicky too early. So this is why I want to move to other areas. So I would compare that color to what's happening. Okay, have I got that color over here somewhere? And start linking up that color with where else is it in the painting. So that's a way to go. That greeny color, I'll look for that elsewhere and start filling that in, because I don't know, will it be in the far mountains, but it'd be in the foreground in places. Other things to watch out for would be, where are my darkest areas of color, and where are the most, I suppose, chromatically intense areas of color, because you've already kind of worked out where the main composition is and where the main focal points in the painting are and everything. And this whole device here leads you into the background, and it's wonderful. And you're going to enjoy the cows go in and all that kind of thing. It's going to be fun. So that's the thing, to get out of your ennui, to be excited about the painting. So I'm back in that mode and out of my ennui. So thank you very much for helping me to help motivate me get out of the mood by allowing me to commit to doing this live stream. So unless I do an extra session during the week or something that I need a bit of motivation for, I'll probably leave it till next Friday before I'm back on, and I'll show you what the progress is on Friday, whether I finish or don't finish. Bye bye.